I see Redollar. Welcome, brother. VK. Some like true mean OGs here. Altix. How are you? All right, it is 11 a.m., so let's get this party started here. We have, so my name is Michel. For those of you who have not heard of me, I'm one of the co-founders of Mean Protocol and Mean DAO. With me, I have Adele and Mylene, and we're going to be going over our weekly update. So welcome everybody. We have two open forums right now where you can ask your questions. We're going to be answering them at the end. If you are on Discord, you can ask them on the AMA questions channel, just like every week. However, this is our first Twitter Spaces hosted AMA, so we're going to also be answering questions that are asked on Twitter. So drop them as a comment in the last tweet, and we will get to them one by one. All right, onwards and upwards here. So, like I said, this is the first AMA that we have on Twitter. Let's see how it goes. The last two AMAs that we did on the Discord server, we had a pretty good turnout, 40, 60, 80 people. So I actually don't even know how to count people here. So I don't know, but just by scrolling, it looks like a lot less. Hopefully people start dripping in from Discord here. All right. So some metrics from last week. So on the growth side right now on Twitter, we are at 19,000 followers. That was a crazy week that we had. We hit, I think, 10,000 followers on the weekend. I think it was Saturday, give or take. And that is from like basically last week last Friday we had 8,000 followers on Twitter. So we literally double our Twitter sphere, which is freaking amazing. Thank you very much for the support and all the love that you're sending around. On Discord right now we have 15,000 users, and that's also double from last week. Last week we had about 7,000, give or take. So twice the amount. We actually went a little bit wilder on the app itself. Last week we had 7,000 unique addresses, and this week we have 22,000 unique addresses. Holy guacamole! It's kind of like hard to even start to comprehend like those numbers from week to week. It is explosive. We are ecstatic with all of this. Daily active users went from the mid 800s to 1576 as of this morning. So that is also phenomenal growth on the usage of the app. So all arrows green up and to the right. Yoo-hoo! This is something. So that's on the growth part. Let's talk a bit about the community update. This week at the beginning of the week, it was supposed to be the Solana hackathon announcement. On Monday, I think it was originally scheduled that they would announce what was going on with the hackathon. Just so that there's some perspective, there was like over 5,000 different participants in the hackathon. It's one of the largest hackathons of any project in any chain, period. Drop the mic and leave the room. So like they have been really busy, and the judges requested a little bit more time. So I think that they moved the announcement from Monday all the way to today. I think is when they're supposed to announce that, what's going on with the winners and stuff like that. Coincidentally, we this morning posted we dropped a new piece of blog on Medium, and we tweeted about it. And it is, I think, a really cool way of looking at that. We think that we are one of the highest quality participants in the hackathon, but that doesn't mean that we deserve to win. It's up to Solana and the judges to decide that. But we welcome, there's a lot of like really high quality projects also that participated. I mean, the amount of activity around this hackathon has been incredible, and we're very lucky to have been part of it. We already won, whether or not we are winners of the hackathon. And that's the message of our blog post this morning. We already won because we have the support of the market, the support of the community, and everybody is shouting meme finance loud and clear across the metaverse. So that's amazing for us. Last week also we announced an amazing partnership that we did with the Grape protocol and the Grape team. So also dropped an article on that. We are going to be essentially using Grape Access, which is their core product, to do two things, but basically that is to secure our server. And the second thing is, and that is the Discord server we're going to be securing, or we are already in the process of securing that with Grape Access. And that is going to make the server a whole lot secure, kind of fight against bots and automated accounts and things like that. It's inevitable that you're going to get a little bit of spam when you're growing the way that we are growing. So they're going to help us a lot there. And the second piece of that is that for our airdrop, we have an allocation that is dedicated to partner protocols. And those are for partner protocols token holders. And the way that they're going to be validated and the way that they're going to be checked and the way that airdrop, that particular allocation of the airdrop is going to be distributed is that those accounts, those holders of those partner protocols are going to have to get checked through Grape Access. And then that's how we're going to be doing the validation on each of the protocols. So essentially out of that allocation, we're going to have 5 different partner protocols. One of them is Grape itself, and then the other 4 are going to be validated by Grape. They have not been announced, and starting next week, what we're planning to do is we're going to start a kind of social experiment with the community where we let you guys guess and game to guess what are the next 4 partners. And those who guess right are going to get some surprises and rewards and additional bonuses coming their way. So stay tuned for that. We are going to be coordinating that with our ambassador club and our mods all across Discord, and we're going to be announcing that as well here on Twitter. Also, we have been working with different partners. Right now, we are very, very close to getting to the closing of our private round. We'll have some formal announcements next week of our official investors and partners for the private round and for the launch. So, all good things in there as well. We have so many partnerships at this point and so many cool collaborations that we're working to get into the pipeline that we can basically fill the calendar all the way till the end of the year if we announce 1 or 2 of those every week. Like that's how busy we've been behind the scenes. So and it would have been impossible for us to do all of these things if it was not for the support of the community, the ambassadors, the mods. So thank you very much, guys. The blog post that came out this morning is for you all and for the community. Like we are already, even without a formal governance portal live yet, we are very much acting like a DAO right now in the way that we make decisions and that we move things around and that's very much because of the community. So thank you very much for the support there. Now, on the product side, a couple of things that happened last week. We did a lot of little tweaks and UI improvements and small bug fixes. We had a couple of people that had some snafus that needed to be corrected, and those were corrected. We also had we worked a lot on improving our RPC infrastructure. We recently brought in 2 other RPC providers. We're going to be making some also announcements about partnerships on that soon. So I don't want to jinx anything with in here, but essentially right now we have a badass RPC infrastructure that it will never come down. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like a hurricane coming through. Like, we always have fallback, round robin, all the bee's knees to make sure that everybody's always connected to Solana. And never a connection to be dropped. So that's phenomenal. We're also, I don't actually know if it's live yet. It might be. I don't know. Maybe Adele, you can confirm, or Mylene. But we launched. So last week we had a crazy good feedback from Akshay and Ye from Super Team DAO and Solana, and they gave us a lot of really good suggestions about certain improvements that we could do to the UI to make things easier. And that, along with a lot of the input from the community, either we already launched it today, or we are about to launch it in a couple of hours or something like that. But you have a new improved Exchange UI with dual tap, crispy colors, tighter workflows. Like, things are a lot easier to understand right now that were before. You have also manual slippage override. That's something that everybody was asking for. So a lot of good things that came out on the product side this week. Some of the things that we're still working on the product side is we'll continue to work with other DAOs on the collaboration and deep analysis on those UX improvements, and we're going to maybe in a couple of weeks be making some formal announcements about deeper integrations in between MinDAO and some other DAOs for this very purpose. We have our reporting right now. Our reporting capability is not where it needs to be, so we need to do some work on the reporting side and analytics and metrics infrastructure to make sure that we are measuring the right things and we know exactly which direction the community is asking us. So, for example, things like TVL per contract, we're not collecting it yet. It's very cumbersome. You have to go to the smart contract directly on chain and look at how much value is locked there. But because it has a lot of different smart contracts that we have, it's kind of hard to actually see what is the TVL aggregate across all of the main protocols. So there's a lot of things that we need to do and work on improving there. What else? I'm getting some reports here that my voice is breaking. Let's see. Adele, Mylene, can you guys hear me well?
Yeah. I do hear you well.
Okay. Okay. All right. So hopefully it's not on my end here. All right. So, in addition to that, we are also going to be this week adding additional tokens. So there will be new tokens on the white list added to the exchange and the DCA, so that you can start DCAing into some friendly fishes and other tokens that you're going to see coming soon. We are also making additional improvements to the routing algorithm on the hybrid liquidity aggregator SDK. So we're going to be that's gonna be pretty meaningful, and we're making additional UI changes on on the hybrid liquidity aggregator, so that you can essentially see what is the actual benefit of the pool that we chose for you to be exchanged, rather than just see that, hey, we picked this one. So instead, we're gonna actually like give you a little bit insight of how is it working behind the scenes, right? So that's gonna be cool. Also, I'm sure that everybody's gonna be in love with that as well. The other thing that we're doing some work on is on the DDCA. We're adding a new Oracle circuit breaker to the DDCA to kind of prevent wild market movements that may adversely affect the person executing the DDCA, right? So if you're buying $100 worth of Sol every week, and then all of a sudden there is a market fluctuation of like 20%, where there's tanking or something like that. Either you might want to buy more of it, or you might want to just stop and not have the dollar cost average execute, whether it goes up or down. So the idea goes both ways, basically, right? So those are some of the things that we're working, that you will see very, very soon show up in the app. And I think that that's kind of like a wrap for what I had on in terms of update this week. We've been 15 minutes into the call, and I know that we have a lot of different questions here. So before we get to the questions, Adele, Mylene, do you guys want to add anything else to this before we jump in?
Did you mention also the token burning, the token blacklisting? We've
Oh, that's right.
been.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you for reminding me of that. So we
Yeah.
a big thing that was happening for the last couple of weeks is that when we open up the accounts section to list all of the tokens that you have under your account, there were a lot of tokens that are like known bad actors in the industry, and a lot of people were asking, hey, can we have a blacklist so that we don't either neither promote or even see them, those bad tokens that have either rugged or done something bad in general, and we added that this week as well. So yeah, so all of those things are additional improvements to the user experience in general, and to the security of the app. So yeah, that's another one. Thank you for reminding me of that. All
For sure.
right, let's see. What questions do we have here? Where do
Yeah, I
we?
was trying to catch up with the questions. That's what I didn't mention anything else.
All right. Do you want to like
Some of
shoot a
them
couple
here.
of questions at me or at us and see what they're asking over there?
Yeah. But so some of the questions are related with like security in general, like what type of security systems do we run on, any particular like updates for security patches and whatnot.
Wait. But let's actually read the question, because I don't know. Like, that's very
Yeah,
generic. Like, what
exactly.
what is it? What about it? What?
What security system does MinDAO run on, and will there be regular updates for security patches to ensure the safety of the funds?
To ensure the safety of the funds. This is on Discord, right? Let me see.
Yes.
Oh, this is my boy Joel OJ. Okay, so yeah, I see the question. All right, so security. What kind of security system? All right, so let's kind of like set some basics here, which is we are so MeanFi and Mean Protocol run 100% in a trustless, permissionless, self custody, like censorship resistant fashion. Like, we don't hold funds for anybody. The smart contracts and your interactions with the smart contracts is basically what you are doing. So essentially, like, not even if I wanted to to access your funds, I can. The funds are locked away in a vault that only you, the address that deposited them, can take them out, or the address that it was sent to can take them out. Okay, so from that standpoint, like, are there security risks on smart contracts? Absolutely. Every single project has them.
That's why projects go through, code reviews, and that's why you go through uh, um, verifications and third-party audits and things like that. And we are in the process of getting a lot of those third-party audits. They are expensive as hell, and they take a long time. And right now, everybody's pretty backed up on that. So, in the meantime, what we're doing is we're doing automated testing. We're doing code coverage on pretty much all of the smart contracts that we have. So we're working towards like automating a lot of those things, and a lot of the security elements that are required for the vaults are actually managed by the Anchor framework, which kind of like shields a lot of the mistakes that we as developers make or could make when writing the code for a smart contract. Those smart contracts, by the way, are open source. You can go into our GitHub repo, read exactly how and when the money is deposited into those smart contracts, and how and who has permissions to like withdraw from those smart contracts. But the short answer is it's depending on the workflow. Like if, for example, on the decentralized DCA, you are the depositor and only you can withdraw from that, right? So like we're only managing the time locks that are required to execute the next DCA. Okay, so hopefully that answered that question. In terms of like other security, we do have a back end, and we do JWT security. That's a normal a standard for pretty much anything. Each of the different companies and integrators that we leverage, from the RPCs to the price oracles, have different infrastructure for their security, and like we have to abide by those rules. So yeah, like that's kind of part of the whole process. What else in here? Let's see. Good day. Provide opportunity to develop talents and financial freedom. This is just I'd like to know extraordinary benefits our private community will get. No, that's not a good question. MinFi is an application support. MinFi is application support for investment with debit, credit card, cryptocurrency. Any plan in the future for MinFi to support instant payment application like PayPal? Okay, so that's a good one. So the question is, any planning in the future for us to support instant payment application like PayPal? Well, so but two things. The first one is that we already support instant payment, just not as a hybrid with the traditional financial system, which is, I think, what this question is about. Right? So you can send today instant payments from point A to point B. You can actually do that without MinFi on any wallet. You just put the address and send it, and that's it. It works sub-second on Solana, very, very fast, right? So. Now, I think that this question is a little bit talking about like how do we actually allow for MinFi to be that bridge that we're aiming at being in between the traditional financial system and the decentralized financial system. And for that, we do need to have some workflows that involve certain things with the financial infrastructure. For example, having the ability to have a like good old Visa or MasterCard card and be able to use the funds that you may have in your wallet in Solana and in MinFi to actually use those funds to buy, I don't know, a popsicle or ice cream or your groceries or whatever the case may be. We actually, like, very recent as yesterday, we were having some very in-depth conversations with other projects to be able to do some collaborations exactly around that. So I don't have anything formal to announce right now, but it is something that we have in insight for sure. I'll leave it at that. It is a very important piece of what we're working on as well. It is possible for the future MinFi. No, I see. Well, Mylene, any other ones that you can get from the list? This is going to be crazy to try to read all the list.
Yeah. I have another one related with how does any planning in the future for MinFi will be supported? You read that one already. Is that possible that in the future to use MinFi and to do deposit with other payment apps, like and facilitate that through scanning a barcode. Basically, it's a long question, and it kind of like goes.
Right. So let's talk about
any other partnership with other payment apps, basically.
Yeah. So let's talk about partnerships and how other protocols leverage Mean Protocol and MinFi on their infrastructure. So we have the way that the simplest way to get your head around this is that there are two main components of the Mean ecosystem. Okay, there is one component which is the Mean protocol, which is essentially, it has no UI. Okay, so these are only the protocol, the smart contracts, the programs that are deployed on chain on the Solana blockchain. And those give a lot of utilities to a lot of people and a lot of other developers and projects and protocols that can leverage those smart contracts. Those smart contracts are three of them. One is the money streaming program, and that has a ton of different utility, from transfers to remittances to payroll to distributing yield on yield lending platforms. So the utilities on those on the money streaming are it's only limit it's almost limitless. You can think of a world that is powered by the money streaming, by the Mean money streaming program, where, for example, you are, as an employee, receiving salary, and at the same time that you're receiving salary, you can see almost like your balance starts to increment in real time, ding 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 ding, and at the same time you decide, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a Netflix subscription, and that costs you some money. And instead of you paying once a month, you are streaming out for as long as you're using Netflix, that particular payment out to Netflix. So your total value of the account continues to go up because the amount that you pay to Netflix is less than the amount that you're receiving from your employer. But like overall, you can see that this is like kind of, money on a pipe coming into you and money on a smaller pipe coming out from you into Netflix, and then money maybe from another pipe coming out from you to, I don't know, your children or your niece or nephew that you want to give some child allowance, or money coming out from you to your mom back at home that you're going to send a monthly remittance, and you're sending $200, $250 a month that she's receiving little by little. So like you can almost picture a metaverse where you can walk with a big number up in your head that is essentially whether you're going up or down in your total net asset that you have, all of it powered by a bunch of different money streams coming in or out of you. Okay, so that's only on the money streaming side. The utility for that, almost every single protocol that you can think of can make use of money streaming. If you are a DEX that use any kind of farming, or if you have a yield bearing token, you can pay out your investors using money streams on a real-time basis, instead of having to wait and force them to like go and click on a claim button that once a day or once every 2 days or whatever the case might be. If you are a company that, or even any of the projects that and you want to pay your employees from a single liquidity, from a single treasury, you can do so with money streamings very, very well. So all of those things that's basically a building block, a plug and play building block that any project can leverage today. Like they don't have to even talk to us. They can just start using money streaming immediately for that. It's open source, it's deployed on the blockchain. It is a fundamental building block for a lot of different business use cases. The second one in the money in the Mean protocol is the dollar cost average part, and that, even though it's called dollar cost average, in reality, what is doing is giving the ability to schedule repeating activities that facilitate SPL token swaps or SPL kind of activities. Okay, so you can and you can see, for example, other dexes, and we'll be like absolutely game and fine if other people decide to start using the DCA for that. So you can think of, I don't know, Orca, Saber, any of the other dexes. Pick your favorite dex, Radium. They have a huge incentive of having their users be sticky, meaning like maintaining their users coming back to that DEX over and over again. And what better way to do that than giving them a tool that not only keeps them coming back, but it keeps them doing swaps on their AMMs, like directly. Like you are essentially buying future activity from your users today because you're using the Mean DCA on your platform, right? So that's a very powerful very powerful user experience. We clearly have that on MeanFi, but also super open for other projects, other protocols, other dexes that want to integrate that. Like, we're game. They don't even have to ask us for permission. They can just go and start doing it right away. The third one is the liquidity aggregation, and there's two parts to that. There's one that is the SDK, and another one, so meaning, like, if you have an app, you can use that with you put a couple of lines of JavaScript, and you essentially can build a full DEX interface on your app with aggregation from multiple AMMs and serums in a couple of clicks. Like, you literally have your time to market as an app developer on Solana it's almost like in a day you can build a DEX experience without a whole lot of problems, because you're leveraging the Mean liquidity aggregator. And you have access immediately to pools from Saber, Mercurial, Orca, Radium, and Serum. Okay, so that's a very good value proposition there. And if you are, for example, a wallet, most wallets need to have one-to-one integrations. They need to do a lot of work. You can see, for example, that if you're using Phantom, they have a swap feature, but they have a swap feature that is limited to one or two AMMs that they have chosen. Or most of the time, all of the wallets have a single AMM that they're implementing on that, or they plug to a router that always routes orders to one or the other, but doesn't actually compare them to get you the best prices, right? So instead, they can use an aggregator like ours, and again, they give their users better pricing, faster. They don't have to maintain all of that code. Like, we're handling all of that stuff behind the scene. So all of those are only things that have to do with the Mean protocol, not with MeanFi. MeanFi is essentially the front end that is like all powered or mostly powered by the Mean protocol, plus a few things. So it is a reference implementation. It is the central place for onboarding users that come from the traditional financing system. It is the bridge that is kind of bringing retail investors and retail banking users into DeFi. So MeanFi is a lot of things, and behind the scenes is using all of these smart contracts that we have as part of the Mean protocol. Okay, so in terms of cooperation, we have it goes both ways. For one side, protocols can leverage the smart contracts that we have on their apps, and we, because we have an app, MeanFi, can leverage their protocols in our app. Some of the things that you will see coming up in the next over the next few months, so that's not in the next week, but part of our roadmap right now is that we're wrapping up the consumer phase, and we're entering the investor phase, which is phase 2 of the project. You can see the roadmap online, by the way. It's available in a ton of different places. So and on the investor portion, we have a lot of workflows that have to do with, for example, borrowing and lending. Like, we're not going to implement a smart contract for that. There's plenty of protocols that offer solid, really good lending and borrowing protocols that we're simply going to expose, and we're going to leverage those borrowing and lending protocols inside of MeanFi. And give a simple way for users to leverage some of them, the same way that those other protocols are basically using the Mean protocol smart contracts on their apps. Okay, so it goes both ways in here. So all of these partnerships are a two-way street. their users get benefit from them implementing and integrating with the mean protocol smart contracts. Our user base gets a lot of benefits if we implement a lending and borrowing protocol, if we implement a index fund protocol, like if we implement all of those things and we bring them and we expose them to people that might want to use it here. All of those are mutual benefits that, and that's the way that we work with other protocols. Okay. Let's see. Next question: is any future plan to bridge between Solana, BSC, or Ethereum in the future? So yes, there is. It is a little bit far though, I have to say. So multi-chain and broader ecosystem integration is phase 5. We are in phase 1 right now. So we are like a good, year and a half to 2 years away from bridging into other chains. Next question. Does the project intend to develop considering other developing communities? I'm not sure what that means.
There is one related with any restrictions of citizens from countries like US, Canada, etc., on the usage of the MinFi product.
Yep. Good question. So the short answer is no. No restrictions to anybody. There will be a restriction for from the legal standpoint to a few countries. You know who they are, the usual suspects. I'm not even going to mention them here. During the token sale. Okay, so but those are going to be enforced by the IDO platforms that we're going to be partnering with on those. Okay, so you will have to go through KYC when we list on an IDO, and they will enforce some of those restrictions because they are, technically speaking, a centralized product. From the MinFi product usage perspective, there is absolutely no restriction and no anybody. The president of the United States can come in and use it if they want. I don't care. Nobody cares. Not only that, on top of that, we are because we're fully trustless, permissionless, blah, blah, all of those things that we know and love, and in principle, that we are going to continue to build and putting a stronghold on that. At this minute, it is not the case, but we will be putting and we will be migrating to make deployments directly on Arweave, so that like they can. We can all be hit by a truck tomorrow, and that's not going to mean the end of MemeFi. Like, that's it. Like, this is going to be here forever to stay in like the most censorship resistant way that anybody can think of. So it is not there yet, but it is definitely part of our plans. And yeah, this is freedom for everybody. Nobody left behind. What else?
I think you might have mentioned some of this before or in previous AMAs, but I think the question is raising up here. It's like, I think MinFi DAO should adopt the limit order and order book features to increase transactions efficiency. Is this in the works? When can we expect this to be feasible?
Yeah, so limit orders have some complexity of their own because, in particular, because so the short answer is yes, we would love to integrate or to implement limit order capabilities on MinFi. However, we have not put any planning on that up until this point, and there's two main reasons for that. The first one is we are an aggregator, and that means that we use a lot of different AMMs behind the scenes, and not all of them have the same capability of actually scheduling orders, which means that we, as part of the aggregators, will have to broker the circuit breaker that will determine whether or not a limit order gets executed before hitting the AMM that is selected to be executed on. So if that didn't make sense, essentially what it means is that we will have to put a lot of infrastructure in place to ensure that those limit orders are fulfilled correctly. Because if we only had Serum on the back end, it will probably be a lot easier. But we don't, and we support a lot of different AMMs in addition to Serum. So it's a big distributed. It's a complicated distributed / decentralized problem to solve. So we have to give it a little bit of thought to that. I would say it's not in the top 10 list of priorities right now, just to be fully transparent and fair, right? But yeah, good question.
There's one that he had related with, it says, are your open source projects using a license that requires those who use it and make improvements to it contribute back to the community?
Yes. And those are publicly available and in the open repos. There's a little file called license.md that you can read through it, and we will go after someone that doesn't respect that for sure. So that's it. That's as much as I'm gonna say about that. Like, we're gonna be super mean with any project that decides to clone this and not respect the licensing of what we've been building. 100%, we'll take him to any court in any world that we can.
Okay. There's another one about when can we buy MinDAO token? When will it be launched? And where will the IDO be?
Yeah. So so the right now the schedule is somewhat. I don't have a specific date to give you. We cannot give you a specific date for a number of reasons. So the first one is that to be able to be able to trade the token and to sell the token, a number of things need to happen before that. For example, we need to mint the token. We need to get the token listed. We need to provide some public forum for an IDO, that is through an IDO platform that is going to do something with their token holders, et cetera, et cetera. And all of those things have already like a lot of different schedules that are competing against one another. So it's not like I can say, well, we're going to go live on like November 22nd at 3 p.m. Yay. No, it doesn't work like that. So like you have to kind of have all of those schedules kind of ready to go, validated. There's a lot of synchronicity that needs to happen in between us, the IDO platform where we're going to be launching that, the actual repo manager that is managing the listing of the tokens in the public repos that have the tokens listed in there. We have to have the emissions scheduled in the smart contract of the minter. Like, there's a lot of things that need to be aligned from the calendar perspective. Now, with that said, it's looking like we might be able to do the public launch and TGE somewhere between the very last days of November and the first week or two of December. So for sure, it's going to happen this year. It's going to be neighboring the end of November, beginning of December timeline. Nice. I like that. I hear super mean like a Superman. Yes. Okay. Yes. We're all super mean. All right. Too busy to translate mean stuff. I missed the AMA. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at here on we have another 10 or 15 minutes left. I have one request here. I don't know how to do this. Hold on a second. Request 1. All right. I am Chris. I'm going to give you access to the stage. Please be brief on your questions so that we can address it quickly. Hello, Chris. You're on the stage. All right. Change of mind. Change of heart. All right. Let's take a look at here if we have anything on Twitter directly. Do you have plans to add perpetual trading with leverage on your platform? Oh, what a good question. I would love to, Daniel. Yes, I that would be freaking phenomenal, and I know for a fact that the minute that we start opening up the investor tools, this is going to be one of the things that every single investor is going to want to see here in the platform. Time will tell. There's a few things that need to happen before that, but I think that will be a killer feature, and the pros are gonna love to see that. So yeah, I'm the target for that. Good question. I want to know if there's going to be any taking pools options on the site. And no, we're not an AMM, so we are not. You're not going to be able to create your own AMM pools on MinFi. So, and we have no intent of becoming an AMM or building our own AMM. There's plenty of really strong AMM products right now on Solana, and we intend to partner with them and to leverage what they have built. It doesn't make sense to build everything from scratch. To the moon, yes. Okay. I see on the market there are many AMM DEXs brokers like you. AMM DEX brokers like you. Okay. So what are your strengths that use other big AMM? We are not an AMM. I don't know how to like frame this in like more clear way, but you can all sing with me. Mean Protocol is not an AMM. Mean Protocol is not. We are not an AMM. We don't have an AMM. We will not have an AMM. We have no plans of creating an AMM. That's it. The end. We don't compete with other AMMs.
I have one from Discord, so in case.
Okay. Go ahead.
Since MinFi is a community governed, how effective is the multi-signature wallet for implementation of smart contracts?
That's a weirdly complicated question. Can you repeat again?
It's like since MinFi is a community governed, how effective is the multi-signature wallet for implementation of smart contracts?
All right, I'm going to do my best at trying to rephrase that question, because I think that it's not very clear the way that I think that what who asked that?
Mello. It's a very, very last in the
Mello. Okay, I see it. Yeah. So I think that the question has to do with being that we're a DAO, who is going to hold the keys to the multi-sigs? Maybe that's what he's asking. I'm gonna go with that for now. So which remains that would be a good question, and the answer is the community votes what are some of the parts of the multi-sig. We don't have a governance portal right now, and many of the rules that are being implemented into the governance portals are not finalized. But the intent is to have community members actually be part of those multi-sigs for the community treasury especially. Okay. In terms of the contracts themselves, I don't know, honestly speaking, how are we going to distribute those keys for the multi-sigs on the contracts, because the deployment of the contracts themselves would be very cumbersome to try to try to hold a vote every time that we need to upgrade or do an update into the contracts. There are right now auditing firms and projects that are doing what is called fluid auditing. And essentially what that means is that they are constantly auditing the code. It's not just a one audit snapshot that you take on a version, X.Y of the program, and then you have to re-audit after 3 or 4 or 5 versions later. Instead, on every single commit that we do on the repo, those things get audited. So it mitigates a lot of the potential risks of someone actually deploying that on chain live. So the short answer is, on the smart contract side, I don't know. On the community treasury side, of course, the community is going to be holding onto those keys. There's a good chance that some of us from the team are going to be key holders of those multi-sigs as well, and we're going to have some sort of vote, especially at the beginning. And as we open up additional votes and we bring members, that will be completely decentralized. So we will have no control of the community treasury. Okay. I think that we're coming to an end here. It is 11:48 right now. Unless we have anybody else that wants to raise their hands, or Mylene or Adele, if you see any other question that is worthy of answering right now, like, let's bring it up. I see another one here. Christian is asking, do all 4 requirements of the allocation entail that with each requirement cover fulfill an airdrop? I don't understand. You need to rephrase that, Christian. Very complicated question. Are there any plans on listing on SEX and not just DEX in the near future? Yes, there is, and it's coming sooner than you think. So very, very soon. Those things are planned for. So, yep, absolutely. Nothing official to announce at this point. All right. I think that it looks like I don't know how to count here on Twitter, but maybe we had like a good 20 or 30 people on the AMA. Lots of good questions. Lots of good questions. So let me see any other questions in here. I see four things in here. What is the purpose of me find the future one strong blockchain to be announced? Not Jibro launch. Yep, no other question. When launch? When launch? We already covered that. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Adele. Thank you, Mylene. I think that the rest of the team is also online here. I saw Yancel somewhere over there, and I saw Yamel briefly. So thank you to all the team members. Thank you to the community. Like, keep kicking ass. We are doing phenomenally well, and this is going to be, I'm confident, one of the strongest DAOs that we're gonna see all across Solana and across multiple chains. So thank you very much for hanging with us, and let's keep kicking some ass. Let's fucking go.